Good morning, or good afternoon, good afternoon. Coach Kevin Sparks here, and we are going to go ahead and get started. First thing I'd like to do is share my screen with you and point out a couple of things. I want to point out that we have a Facebook group that coincides with our meetup group, and it has the same name. I want to be really rich, and I do not apologize for it. So that's the name of the group, and we ask you to come join us. You can find us by going into your own Facebook account and typing in, I want to be really rich, and I do not apologize for it. Or you can go directly to facebook.com/groups/, I want to be really rich. And if you choose to come join us, you will see that if we have any special announcements, we typically keep them at the top. And then also, as long as I remember to hit the record button, as you can see here are the recordings of the different Zoom meetings that we have. So say, for instance, you're on today and you really like something and you want to review it. Typically within 24 to 48 hours, it will be in the Facebook group available to you. The other thing is we may be in the process of studying some particular material, or maybe going through a book. And let's say you're here with us Monday, Tuesday, some reason you missed Wednesday, you're able to make it Thursday, you can't make it Friday. Well, you can come back into here and get caught up with whatever it was that you missed. All right. Next thing I want to point out for what we're doing today is point out what we're actually going through. We are currently in the process of going through a book called Psycho Cybernetics. It was originally, well, not just originally, it was written and published by Maxwell Maltz. Maxwell Maltz is no longer with us. However, his background was he was a plastic surgeon. And interestingly enough, as he worked with people to change their appearance, not because he was trying to, he was mostly a reconstructive type plastic surgeon. If there was something truly needing to be changed and people came to him, not as much the elective surgery, although he has done some of that. But pretty much if somebody had something about them that they didn't like, they felt that they could receive plastic surgery and it would change their self-image. And to be perfectly honest, he found out that, yeah, that was the truth much of the time. However, there were people who he did surgery on and helped that when he was done, nothing had really changed. Now, that doesn't mean their physical appearance had not changed. It had changed completely. Okay. Whatever it was that needed to be changed or was asked to be changed, it was changed. Everybody around who saw it outside of the person who was changed absolutely understood and noticed the change. But sometimes the person themselves didn't even see that there was a change. Matter of fact, some of them questioned whether he had done the surgery on them at all. And some of them actually, their self image didn't change either. And they actually felt worse because now they were even more disappointed that the plastic surgery didn't work, even though, again, to the outside observer, everything had changed. On the inside of the person who received the surgery, nothing had changed, or sometimes it had gotten worse. For the majority of the time, on the inside of the person as well as the outside, though, things had changed dramatically. So Maxwell Maltz wanted to figure out what was going on. And when he came to the solutions through observation of himself, but also learning from others, he then chose to write this book to explain what's going on inside of a person. So that's what psychocybernetics is about. Why are we doing this? We're talking about law of attraction and manifesting more money and wealth into our lives. That's what our meetup is about. Um, you can manifest other things too. I understand that. We all completely understand that. But we have a specific focus. So why did we choose this book? Well, what has been proven over and over and over again is you cannot out manifest your personal self image. Let me repeat that. You cannot out manifest your personal self image. So if you have a personal self image, you have this subconscious program running in the background. You have this feeling about money and wealth as your self image, and you're trying to improve upon that. If that program is in opposition to what you're trying to accomplish, if you're trying to manifest more and you constantly try to do so, and it doesn't seem to happen for you, or if it happens, it's short-lived and reverts back to what it used to be, then you're going to be truly frustrated. Once you understand what's actually going on the inside of you and you know how it works, and you're given the tools and formulas, processes, whatever you want to call them, when you become aware of what's going on and you're taught how it got there and how to change it, then you're empowered. Now you have an awareness to be able to go make the changes you want to change. And by making the changes that you want to change, then when you go to work with the law of attraction to manifest what you want, your subconscious mind will be in alignment with what it is that you want, and it won't keep getting in your way, and you will manifest what you want. So we're on page 112. I want to show you where we got this so you can get a copy of your own and follow along. I happen to have a Kindle copy. I also have Audible. However, whenever there's something out there, if we're going through a piece of material and I can find it on the internet and you can access it for free, I like to go ahead and do that for you and find it and then show you where we found it and then use that as the foundation for what we're working on. So let's remember we're on a page 112 because I'm going to hit the back button again right now and show you where this came from. So I'm remembering page 112. All right. Hopefully this will work relatively quickly. So what I did is I typed in Psycho-Cybernetics PDF into Google, and there were several that I looked at. However, I like this one that popped up for me at the very beginning. And here it is. It says Psycho-Cybernetics, that's all caps, by Maxwell Maltz, WordPress.com. And the website it came from doesn't really matter. I don't even know what it's about. dingswallask.files.wordpress.com. So I'm going to leave this on my screen for a moment so that you can find it. If you want to, go ahead and type in to your Google Psycho-Cybernetics PDF. Hopefully you'll find this one. And then when you click on it, which I'm going to do now, it will take you, hopefully, right in. Let's give it a moment. Here we go. Bam. So you notice I didn't have to put a name or email address or anything like that. Now, what I have done is I took my download function and I have gone ahead and put it onto my computer so that I have access to it when we're offline. All right. So we're on page 112. I'm going to blow this up to make it as big as I can without being too big, so that if you're following along with the screen share that I've got, you can see it as easily as possible. So if you'd like to go grab a copy, terrific. If you'd just like to follow along for now and grab one after this session, terrific. I just highly recommend that you do because we're a third of the way through it. Maxwell Maltz has shared a lot and has taught a lot, but this is definitely all relevant in understanding how to manifest more money and wealth into our lives. And there are parts where we talk specifically about money, okay? I don't know if that's going to happen in this session today, but understand that what you're learning will apply to what it is that you want to manifest in your life. Okie dokie. The lesson of the hourglass. Dr. James Gordon Gilkey preached a sermon in 1944 called Gaining Emotional Poise, which was reprinted in Reader's Digest and became a classic almost overnight. He had found, through many years of counseling, that one of the main causes of breakdown, worry, and all sorts of other personal problems was this bad mental habit of feeling that you should be doing many things now. Looking at the hourglass on his desk, he had an inspiration. Just as only one grain of sand could pass through the hourglass, so could we only do one thing at a time. It is not the job, but the way we insist upon thinking of the job that causes the trouble. Most of us feel hurried and harried, said Dr. Gilkey, because we form a false mental picture of our duties, obligations, and responsibilities. Let me repeat that. This is important. Okay. Most of us, and it would be helpful if you admit it to yourself, because by admitting it, you can become aware of what's going on. Most of us feel hurried and harried, said Dr. Gilkey, because we form a false mental picture of our duties, obligations, and responsibilities. There seems to be a dozen different things pressing in upon us at any given moment, a dozen different things to do, a dozen different problems to solve, a dozen different strains to endure. No matter how hurried or harried our existence may be, said Dr. Gilkey, this mental picture is entirely false. Even on the busiest day, the crowded hours come to us one moment at a time. No matter how many problems, tasks, or strains we face, they always come to us in single file, which is the only way they can come. To get a true mental picture, he suggested visualizing an hourglass, with the many grains of sand dropping one by one. This mental picture will bring emotional poise, just as the false mental picture will bring emotional unrest. Another similar mental device, which I have found very helpful to my patients, is telling them your success mechanism can help you do any job, perform any task, solve any problem. Think of yourself as feeding jobs and problems to your success mechanism as a scientist feeds a problem to an electronic brain. The hopper to your success mechanism can handle only one job at a time, just as an electronic brain cannot give the right answer if three different problems are mixed up and fed in at the same time. Neither can your own success mechanism. Ease off on the pressure. Stop trying to cram into the machinery more than one job at a time. And that's why I talk about frequently, and my mentor and coach Bob Proctor's talk to me frequently about writing down everything you want and then making the decision what you want most now and making that one thing, not that 50 things, making that one thing the focus. Put the one thing into the hopper. Number 4, sleep on it. So we were going through some different steps, and we're on the 4th one from yesterday. If you have been wrestling with a problem all day without making any apparent progress, try dismissing it from your mind and put off making a decision until you've had a chance to sleep on it. Remember that your creative mechanism works best when there is not too much interference from your conscious I. In sleep, the creative mechanism has an ideal opportunity to work independently of conscious interference. If you have previously started the wheels turning, remember the fairy story about the shoemaker and the elves? The shoemaker found that if he cut out the leather and laid out the patterns before retiring, little elves came and actually put the shoes together for him while he was sleeping. Many creative workers have used a very similar technique. Mrs. Thomas A. Edison has said that each evening her husband would go over in his mind those things which he hoped to accomplish the next day. Sometimes he would make a list of the jobs he wanted to do and problems which he hoped to solve. Sir Walter Scott is reported to have said to himself, whenever his ideas would not gel, "Never mind, I shall have it at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning." V. Bekhterev said, "It happened several times when I concentrated in the evening on a subject which I had put into poetic shape, that in the morning I had only to take my pen and the words flowed, as it were, spontaneously. I had only to publish them later." Edison's well-known catnaps were far more than respites from fatigue. Joseph Rossman, in Psychology of Invention, says, when stumped by something, we should stretch out in the Menlo workshop and, half dozing, get an idea from his dream mind to help him around the difficulty. So this is what Edison would do. When stumped by something, he would stretch out in his Menlo workshop and, half dozing, get an idea from his dream mind to help him around the difficulty. J.B. Priestley dreamed 3 essays, complete in every detail, the Berkshire Best, The Strange Outfitter, and The Dream. Archbishop Temple of Canterbury has said, "All decisive thinking goes on behind the scenes. I seldom know when it takes place. Much of it is certainly during sleep." Henry Ward Beecher once preached every day for 18 months. His method? He kept a number of ideas hatching, and each night before retiring would select an incubating idea and stir it up by thinking intensely about it. The next morning, it would have fitted itself together for a sermon. Kekule's, I don't know if I'm pronouncing any of this right, but Kekule's discovery of the secret of the benzene molecule during sleep. Okay, Kekule's discovery of the secret of the benzene molecule during sleep. Otto Loewy's Nobel Prize-winning discovery that active chemicals are involved in the action of nerves, and Robert Louis Stevenson's brownies, which he said gave him all his plot ideas while sleeping, are all well known. Less well known is the fact that many businessmen use the same technique. For example, Henry Cobbs, who started his business in the early 1930s with a $10 bill and now operates a multi-million-dollar mail order fruit business in North Miami, Florida, keeps a notebook by his bedside to jot down creative ideas immediately upon awakening. Vic Packer arrived in this country from Hungary with no money and unable to speak English. He got a job as a welder, went to night school to learn English, and saved his money. His savings were wiped out in the Depression. Put in 1932, he started a small welding shop of his own, which he called Steel Fabricators. Today, that small business has grown into a profitable $1 million firm. "I've discovered you have to make your own brakes," he said. "Sometimes in my dreams, I get ideas for licking problems and wake up all excited. Many the time I've gotten out of bed at 2 a.m. and gone down to the shop to see if an idea would work." Number 5, relax while you work. Practice exercise. In chapter 4, you learn how to induce physical and mental relaxation while resting. Continue with the daily practice in relaxation, and you'll become more and more proficient. In the meantime, you can induce something of that relaxed feeling and the relaxed attitude while going about your daily activities, if you will form the habit of mentally remembering the nice relaxed feeling that you induced. Stop occasionally during the day. It need only take a moment, and remember in detail the sensations of relaxation. Remember how your arms felt, your legs, back, neck, face. Sometimes forming a mental picture of yourself lying in bed or sitting relaxed and limp in an easy chair helps to recall the relaxed sensations. Mentally repeating to yourself several times, "I feel more and more relaxed," also helps. Practice this remembering faithfully several times each day. You will be surprised at how much it reduces fatigue and how much better you're able to handle situations. For by relaxing and maintaining a relaxed attitude, you remove is what I think it means to say. You remove those excessive states of concern, tension, and anxiety, which interfere with the efficient operation of your creative mechanism. In time, your relaxed attitude will become a habit, and you will no longer need to consciously practice it. So, points that you want to remember from the chapter, and the case histories and examples from the chapter. So we're going to move into chapter 7. You can acquire the habit of happiness. In this chapter, I want to discuss with you the subject of happiness, not from a philosophical, but from a medical standpoint. Dr. John A. Schindler's definition of happiness is a state of mind in which our thinking is pleasant a good share of the time. From a medical standpoint, and also from an ethical standpoint, I do not believe that simple definition can improve upon or can be improved upon. It is what we're talking about in this chapter. Happiness is good medicine. Happiness is native to the human mind and its physical machine. We think better, perform better, feel better, and are healthier when we are happy. Even our physical sense organs work better. Russian psychologist K. Kekshev tested people when they were thinking pleasant and unpleasant thoughts. He found that when thinking pleasant thoughts, they could see better, taste, smell, and hear better, and detect finer differences in touch. Dr. William Bates proved that eyesight improves immediately when the individual is thinking pleasant thoughts or visualizing pleasant scenes. Margaret Corbett has found that memory is greatly improved and that the mind is relaxed when the subject is thinking pleasant thoughts. Psychosomatic medicine has proved that our stomachs, liver, heart, and all our internal organs function better when we are happy. Thousands of years ago, wise old King Solomon said in his Proverbs, "A merry heart doeth good like a medicine, but a broken spirit drieth up the bones." It is significant, too, that both Judaism and Christianity prescribe joy, rejoicing, thankfulness, cheerfulness as a means toward righteousness and the good life. Harvard psychologists studied the correlation between happiness and criminality and concluded that the old Dutch proverb, "happy people are never wicked," was scientifically true. They found that the majority of criminals came from unhappy homes, had a history of unhappy human relationships. A 10-year-old study of frustration at Yale University brought out that much of what we call immorality and hostility to others is brought about by our own unhappiness. Dr. Schindler has said that unhappiness is the sole cause of all psychosomatic ills and that happiness is the only cure. The very word dis-ease means a state of unhappiness. Dis-ease, not being at ease. A recent survey showed that by and large, optimistic, cheerful businessmen who looked on the bright side of things were more successful than pessimistic businessmen. It appears that in our popular thinking about happiness, we have managed to get the cart before the horse. Be good, we say, and you'll be happy. I would be happy, we say to ourselves, if I could be successful and healthy. Be kind and loving to others, and you will be happy. It might be near the truth if we said, be happy and you will be good, more successful, healthier, feel and act more charitably toward others. Common misconceptions about happiness. Happiness is not something that is earned or deserved. Man, that is so important to understand. Let me repeat that. Happiness is not something that is earned or deserved. Happiness is not a moral issue any more than the circulation of the blood is a moral issue. Both are necessary to health and well-being. Happiness is simply a state of mind in which our thinking is pleasant a good share of the time. If you wait until you deserve to think pleasant, that's interesting, pleasant, but that's not it, pleasant thoughts, you are likely to think unpleasant thoughts concerning your own unworthiness. Happiness is not the reward of virtue, said Spinoza, but virtue itself. Nor do we delight in happiness because we restrain our lusts, but on the contrary, because we delight in, therefore are we able to restrain them. The pursuit of happiness is not selfish. Many sincere people are deterred from seeking happiness because they feel that it would be selfish or wrong. Unselfishness does not make for happiness. Interesting, huh? Unselfishness does not make for happiness, for it not only gets our minds directed outward away from ourselves and our introspection, our faults, sins, troubles, unpleasant thoughts, or pride in our goodness, but it also enables us to express ourselves creatively and fulfill ourselves in helping others. One of the most pleasant thoughts to any human being is the thought that he is needed, that he is important enough to help and add to the happiness of some other human being. However, if we make a moral issue out of happiness and conceive of it as something to be earned as a sort of reward for being unselfish, we are very apt to feel guilty about wanting happiness. Happiness comes from being and acting unselfishly as a natural accomplishment to the being and acting, not as a payoff or prize. If we're rewarded for being unselfish, the next logical step is to assume that the more self abnegating and miserable we make ourselves, the more happy we will be. The premise leads to the absurd conclusion that the way to be happy is to be unhappy. If there's any moral issue involved, it is on the side of happiness rather than unhappiness. The attitude of unhappiness is not only painful, it is mean and ugly, says William James. What can be more base and unworthy than the pining, pulling, mumping mood, no matter by what outward ills it may have been engendered? What is more injurious to others? What less helpful as a way out of the difficulty? It but fastens and perpetuates the trouble which occasioned it and increases the total evil of the situation. Happiness does not lie in the future, but the present. We are never living, but only hoping to live, and looking forward always to being happy. It is inevitable that we're never so. So, said Pascal. I have found that one of the commonest causes of unhappiness among my patients is that they are attempting to live their lives on the deferred payment plan. They do not live nor enjoy life now, but wait for some future event or occurrence. They will be happy when they get married, when they get a better job, when they get the house paid for, when they get the children through college, when they've completed some task or won some victory. Invariably, they are disappointed. Happiness is a mental habit, a mental attitude. And if it's not learned and practiced in the present, it is never experienced. It cannot be made contingent upon solving some external problem. When one problem is solved, another appears to take its place. Life is a series of problems. If you are to be happy at all, you must be happy, period, not happy because of. I have now reigned about 50 years in victory or peace, said the Caliph Abdul Rahim, beloved by my subjects, dreaded by my enemies, and respected by my allies. Riches and honors, power and pleasure have waited on my call, nor does any earthly blessing appear to have been wanting to my felicity. In this situation, I have diligently numbered the days of pure and genuine happiness, which have fallen to my lot. They amount to 14. Happiness is a mental habit which can be cultivated and developed. Most people are about as happy as they make up their minds to be, said Abraham Lincoln. Happiness is purely internal, said psychologist Dr. Matthew N. Chappell. It is produced not by objects, but by ideas, thoughts, and attitudes which can be developed and constructed by the individual's own activities, irrespective of the environment. No one other than a saint can be 100% happy all the time. And as George Bernard Shaw quipped, we would probably be miserable if we were. But we can, by taking thought and making a simple decision, be happy and think pleasant thoughts a large share of the time regarding that multitude of little events and circumstances of daily living which now make us unhappy. To a large extent, we react to petty annoyances, frustrations, and like with grumpiness, dissatisfaction, resentment, and irritability purely out of habit. Let me repeat that. To a large extent, we react to petty annoyances, frustrations, and the like with grumpiness, dissatisfaction, resentment, and irritability purely out of habit. We have practiced So we've gotten good at it. Reacting that way so long, it has become habitual. Much of this habitual unhappiness reaction originated because of some event which we interpreted as a blow to our self-esteem. The driver honks his horn at us unnecessarily. Someone interrupts and doesn't pay attention while we're talking. Someone doesn't come through for us as we think he should. Even impersonal events can be interpreted and reacted to as affronts to our self-esteem. The bus we wanted to catch had to be late. It had to go and rain when we had planned to play golf. Traffic had to get into a snarl just as we needed to catch the plane. We react with anger, resentment, self-pity, or in other words, unhappiness. Stop letting things push you around. Okay, we're going to pick up there tomorrow. Stop letting things push you around. And welcome, welcome, welcome. Looks like we might have a new guest. So let me explain how this works now. This is an opportunity. We always like to leave some time at the end for those of you that showed up to be here with us today to be able to share commentary and share whatever you'd like to share. And also, as important or possibly more important, to ask questions. And so that's how we function. What we do is we come off mute and then we start sharing, and then we take you in the order you do that. So what is fair to comment about and what is okay to, as far as questions to ask go, anything. If you've been with us for a while, we've been going together strong since November 5th. So anything that you've learned up until now, or anything that we've gone through that you want to share what you've learned and maybe some successes you've had applying it. Also any maybe ahas or things that you learned from today, or anything in relationship to manifesting more money and wealth, or intentionally manifesting good things in your life. That's a fair game of things for you to share. Questions, what can you ask questions about? Well, anything in relationship, again, to what it is we've gone through so far, what it is we went through today, or fair game is anything in relationship to manifesting more money and wealth in your life. So now is your opportunity to go ahead and share what you'd like to share, or ask whatever questions you would like to ask. Again, just come off mute and we'll take you in the order that you do that. So this is your time. Go ahead. So everybody knows everything they want to know. I'm going to assume you guys know everything then. I should be asking you.
Hi, Kevin. It's Tanya.
Hey, Tanya, how you doing?
I'm good, and I'm sorry that I missed our little session the other night, but magical things were happening right at that moment in time.
Awesome.
Yes, I can't even begin to tell you the bubbling of abundance. I will have to reserve that for right now because it'll take too long, but just suffice it to say that things that I've specifically been wanting I have had delivery in unexpected ways of just new opportunities and growing on existing opportunities. And it's been quite wonderful. And I really appreciate the talk today because I actually stopped myself from feeling frustrating the other day because there's no purpose in it. So I'm trying to change that habit as well. So thank you for this one. This is great.
You're welcome. Hey, I want you to actually, so because you're part of the group coaching and everything, and we've been working together for not a long time, actually. It's very recent, but already great things are happening. But I actually want you to get more detail, because here's what people come on here and say. Hey, yeah, I'm happy. Why? Good stuff's manifested. Just want to say thank you. Goodbye. And nobody knows. Nobody knows the process. Nobody knows what actually happened. It's like, Well, do you got a penny? Did you get $1 million? Did you
No,
get
no,
lucky, or
none
did
of
you put
the.
forth effort?
So it's process steps. So I have a new business, a relatively new business, and I've been wanting to manifest a way to launch it in a big way in the shortest time possible.
Awesome.
And I was literally handed money to go to the largest B2B trade show that is happening next week. I have a place to stay. I have meals covered for me. And I was encouraged by not only two, but five people that I should go because, and ensured that I would have the right introductions with the right people to be able to do exactly what I want to do with this business.
Awesome. Awesome. And you said a few things. Now we're all
I mean,
related to
to
that
be
one
handed,
business.
to be, yeah, well, it's the honey buzz side, and again, it's relatively new, and I'm not going to say frustration. It's just been slow because of the nature of there's just a lot of competition, and there's a lot of things going on. But that doesn't stop me. More, I thought about what could work to be a quick path to success, and I'm literally getting handed, including money for the plane ticket, the quick path to success.
Awesome. So now let's go back a little bit. You attribute that this unfolding, do you attribute to what? What have you been going, what have you been learning and studying and changing?
Basically,
And
yeah, so just everything that we have been going through, um being focused on the spirit of opulence, being focused on asking for abundance, whichever channel it comes through. Because
yes,
if I tried to go to the show on my own and I tried to pay for this, it would have been a hardship. So I let everything kind of be open, and I gave it to God. And now I'm handed the plane fare, a place to stay, as well as a prominent place to be able to show the product, as well as someone to escort me to provide introductions to the best opportunities in a business to business environment.
awesome. 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 Very cool.
And then the only thing that I will be doing because of today is I will be happy because I do need to travel. And of course, there's a lot of information that we shouldn't travel, and there's information that we have to be safe. I know I will be safe. I know I will be happy on this journey. And also, I've listened to Kevin and I've added an extra couple of days to be able to go and actually have some fun in this time as well.
Awesome.
So, thank you for all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Great to get that update. Very cool. Very, very,
Thank you
very cool.
again.
Yeah. Hey, it just you let go. That whole quit trying to play God stuff works really well, huh?
It does, Kevin. It really does. And I'm also excited and very happy to see my new grandson today. I'll be doing that later this evening. So my heart is very filled with joy. And because of that, all of the business events that have been happening today have been very successful, as I know they would be.
Yep.
Yay.
Awesome. Thank you, Tanya.
Thank
Uh-huh. Anybody else? Any comments? Any questions? Okie dokie. Well, if that's the case, I'm going to say goodbye. You guys have an amazing day, and some of you I'll see a little bit later today in the next class.